Welcome to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It supports the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything. Well, folks, we got big news today, but let's start off with the price of Bitcoin really quick. Earlier today in the live stream, we talked about Bitcoin cooling down. Right now, it's sitting at 71,713 bucks at the time of recording. But if we look at the daily chart here, we're seeing a bit of a pullback, and that's healthy. That's normal after a strong breakout above the old all-time high. The key indicator we have to look at, though, is the dollar currency index, which is finding some support and bouncing right now. Now, it could bounce a little bit, but then continue to break downwards, which I anticipate it will, but who knows, right? We have to watch this closely. So Bitcoin and some of the altcoins can possibly consolidate and move sideways for a while. So just be prepared for that, maybe over the next 2 weeks, right? But we'll have to wait and see as the charts get updated. But the DXY is finding support here. This is why you're going to see Bitcoin and other risk assets slow down a bit. But the bull market's not over. Just we're going through market cycles from a micro standpoint. From a macro, we are still on track to go to new all-time highs. But some of the altcoins are popping off. Solana is ripping right now, folks. It's at $185, up near 12% over the past 24 hours. Now let's look at the top trending coins on social media, brought to you by Santiment, which is a great partner of the channel. This data was updated 48 minutes ago. And of course, Solana leading here because the price has been going parabolic. It has huge positive sentiment. Ethereum at number 2, still seeing a lot of social mentions from its upgrade, the Denkin upgrade. Dog with hat. These meme coins are going nuts. Look at this. Dogecoin comes in at number 4 behind Dog with hat. So the meme coins are going crazy. Earlier today in the live stream, we talked about Elon Musk talking about Tesla is going to accept Dogecoin pretty soon. BSV, that is trending because Craig Wright got slapped in the face by the judge. He's got another huge loss, saying he's not Satoshi, he's not the author of the white paper, and much more. You got Hack Protocol. Haven't heard about this. This comes in at number 6. Bitcoin at number 7. Frax. It says Frax on Ethereum. I haven't heard of this token. That's number 8. And then you have the Open Platform at number 9 and the Near Protocol at number 10. So those are your top trending tokens on social media. And some of these make a lot of sense, right? Because of price action and big news items. Now, folks, huge news. We've been talking a lot about crypto and the elections, and we saw on Super Tuesday that many of the candidates who aligned themselves to Elizabeth Warren and the anti-crypto banner lost, but pro-crypto candidates are winning. We've talked about crypto being a ballot issue, not the number 1, not the number 2, not the number 3, but sometimes the number 4 or 5, right? But many crypto holders are single issue voters. And folks, we've also been talking about former President Donald Trump, who's obviously the Republican candidate for this upcoming presidential election. He has been softening his tone around Bitcoin and crypto. He's issued NFTs, Bitcoin ordinals. They've been accepting Bitcoin and crypto for payments for his sneakers and much more, right? And once again, I'm not trying to endorse those things. I'm just telling you the facts. But here's some data, and it's actually been reported by Justin Slaughter, who's head or policy director of Paradigm. And here is the data. Very interesting, folks. Let me give you the details. Now, for something surprising, crypto voters leaned to Biden in 2020, but now lean to Trump. Among crypto voters, 43% recall voting for Biden in 2020, and 39% recall voting for Trump. Now, crypto owners support Trump, 48 to 39. In a close election, this swing could be decisive. Folks, very interesting dynamic playing out here. Crypto is a ballot issue. We are already seeing it on smaller levels, and already the polls are showing from a crypto standpoint, people believe Donald Trump would be a better candidate for crypto. Wow, let that sink in. And once again, this is not a political podcast. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just giving you the facts and the data, and you make your decisions from there. But there are certain things we can't deny, and we have to look at what the potential outcomes may be. So in a race that may be tight again, like it was in 2020, we could see crypto being a big deciding factor. And the question is, will Biden pivot? And I'm not saying I believe he will or I want him to. I'm just saying, with giving the scenario, maybe he pivots because he sees Elizabeth Warren's agenda is failing and the anti-crypto people are losing. So we shall see. He could pull something out of his hat and do something with Congress or some executive order. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But this is very interesting. Now, huge news today, folks. And Nate Garaci, president of the ETF store, reported on this. But here's the headline: Cetera introduces Bitcoin ETF policy and guidance for financial professionals. You may say, who the hell is Cetera? Cetera is among the first wealth management firms to deliver comprehensive education, training, and resources addressing rapidly growing investment products. What have I been telling you guys for months now? We are in the early innings. These ETF issuers are actually going out to the wealth managers and RIAs and educating them. Hey guys, here's the Bitcoin ETF. Here's how it works. Here's our fees to get them to be comfortable. So there's a ton of capital that is not being allocated yet. There's a ton of investment advisors who have not told their clients, hey, let's put some exposure or give you some exposure to Bitcoin ETFs. They haven't done that yet. The education and awareness building process is happening right now. So here's what Nate Garaci highlighted. Here's a quote: "As expected, we are prudently embracing Bitcoin ETFs." That's a quote. Nate says financial advisory firms now issuing press releases regarding the use of Bitcoin ETFs. In other words, attempting to use Bitcoin ETFs as a point of differentiation slash competitive advantage. Things getting wild. He says Cetera has $475 billion of assets under management. So incredible, incredible things happening, folks. Once again, it's the early innings. There's still a ton more folks coming in. And if anybody from Vanguard is listening, this is your wake-up call. You will get left behind. This thing is taking off. Now earlier today on the live stream, I shared this chart, but I think it's helpful to highlight it again. MicroStrategy's Bitcoin holdings versus BlackRock. For those of you listening on the audio, you won't understand what I'm saying, but MicroStrategy gradually bought Bitcoin over the years. You look at the chart, BlackRock is literally a straight line up because literally over the past is it just over a month and a half now? They've been accumulating and they're about to surpass, or they have surpassed, MicroStrategy. It's incredible. And this doesn't even include the other 9 ETFs out there in the market. It's fascinating what's happening. Now, folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is VeChain. VeChain is one of the top enterprise layer 1 blockchains out there. They are building tons of Web3 and decentralized apps that solve real-world problems. They're working with many big brands such as BMW, Walmart China, PwC, and so forth. I'm a VET token holder. I believe in this project. I have been for years. That's why I asked them to be a sponsor. And their blockchain, folks, uses very low energy. It's scalable. It has great security, great speed. And they're also working with the Boston Consulting Group. So huge things happening with VeChain. I highly recommend you go check this out and look up what they're doing. It's incredible. Go to vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, not everyone is happy with the Bitcoin ETFs. We got a couple of senators here writing the SEC saying, stop the ETFs. So Alexander Grieve, who is government affairs at Paradigm, tweeted out the success of the Bitcoin spot ETF products clearly ruffling some feathers on the Hill. Senator Jack Reed and Senator Lafonza Butler, if I'm saying her name right, wrote a letter to the SEC urging no more ETPs, exchange traded products, for other tokens. They're trying to stop it. They're saying don't go beyond Bitcoin. No Ethereum, no XRP, no Cardano. They said make life difficult. For example, examinations/reviews for brokers and advisors that recommend Bitcoin ETPs. Now, bunch of senators, right? Who do you think is behind this, folks? Who do you think is behind this? Elizabeth Warren. And who's behind her? Jamie Dimon and the banks. You think these banks like the money leaving their investments and going into the ETFs? They hate it because right now they can't even custody the ETFs, right? That's why they wrote a letter to the SEC about SOB 121. They're blocked right now. They hate this, folks. That's why you have all these TradFi guys, even Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, rest in peace. I respect Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett very much. I've learned a lot from them, but they hate that there's a disruption and the capital is leaving their TradFi investments, equities, and so forth, and it's going to ETFs. They see the flows. You think these senators just dreamed this up by themselves? That they woke up and said, "Man, I hate them Bitcoin ETFs. I hate that. They better not have an Ethereum ETF." Hell no, right? This is someone paying them. You guys know how the game works, right? They're getting lobbied, and Elizabeth Warren probably sent them met with them in the back room, along with Gary Gensler and so forth, the anti-crypto army, right? Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business gave some more context. So Jack Reed is out of Rhode Island, and LaFonza Butler, she is out of California. So they penned a letter to Gary Gensler. Here's a quote from that. It says, while the Bitcoin market has displayed serious weaknesses, it is nonetheless far more established and scrutinized than the market for the other cryptocurrency. However, vulnerable Bitcoin may be to fraud and manipulation. Markets for other cryptocurrencies are far more exposed to misconduct. We do not believe that other cryptocurrencies show the trading volumes or integrity to support associated ETPs. It's funny how they don't send out stuff like this for like the banks that were collapsing last year. And just recently, we saw NYCB. That stock plummeted off a cliff. They had to halt trading, and then they had to get $1 billion lifeline, right? There's no letters being sent. There's nothing being said about that. But obviously, there's an agenda here, right? They're trying to paint crypto in a negative light, trying to stop the ETFs, and this is all coming from the banking incumbents. Now, Paul Grewal of Coinbase weighed in on this. He said, respectfully, senators, the evidence points exactly the opposite way. We have discussed our analysis with the SEC staff and would be happy to do the same for you and any other policymakers who have questions. Many digital asset commodities, not just Bitcoin, demonstrate market quality metrics that exceed even the largest traded equities. For example, ETH's spot market is deep and liquid. Only two S&P stocks have a higher notional dollar trading volume. So he goes on, explaining this. But folks, these two senators didn't just wake up and dream this stuff, right? And say, oh, we need to stop. It's Elizabeth Warren. It's the banks. Again, they are afraid. More crypto ETFs get created, more capital leaves their TradFi investments, right? These investment banks, Goldman Sachs, all guys, think about this. They had the stranglehold. You have to come through them, right? Their products, what they're doing. This is very much so outside of their system. Don't get me wrong, it's getting integrated into the system because BlackRock and Wall Street. But the point is, the network, the control of the assets is distributed globally. Bitcoin and crypto is a global asset class versus, certain people in certain countries can't access certain equities and so forth, right? But you can be in any country. As I've given the analogy, the story many times, any country in the world, you have an internet connection, you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. And that gives kind of an exponential aspect to the price and the appreciation of the price. So, guys, they don't like this. They don't like this. They're probably having boardroom meetings and so forth. How do we combat this? Who do we buy off? Who do we lobby? How can we stop this? Can we launch our own thing? Right? Those are definitely meetings that are happening, folks, at the end of the day. Now, James Seifert of Bloomberg weighed in on this. He says, as someone who's spent significant time trying to obtain the data required to do this type of analysis on a minute by minute basis, it wasn't easy, and I work at Bloomberg. There's almost zero chance these senators did the analysis themselves. Someone sent it to them. But who? James, I know the answer. It's Elizabeth Warren and the banking cabal. That's who it is. And he says, have to assume the SEC, like Eric hints here. So Eric Balchunas, highlighting here that TradFi and the SEC and these guys sent this stuff to the senators. It's all behind the backroom deals, the alleyway, meet in the alleyway type things going on here. Once again, these two senators didn't randomly wake up and say, oh, we need to stop all these ETFs, right? I think we know the game, folks, and this is why we got to expose it. Now, final item here, President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, we know they hold a ton of Bitcoin. He's been trolling all the critics lately because their holdings are up significantly. But during the bear market, all the FUDsters came out. Well, he said, we've decided to transfer a big chunk of our Bitcoin to a cold wallet and store that cold wallet in a physical vault within our national territory. You can call it our first Bitcoin piggy bank. It's not much, but it's honest work. Wow. But the total Bitcoin is 5,689 Bitcoin. That's pretty incredible. I wish I had that much Bitcoin. But guys, they're setting the standard. They're setting the blueprint here for many smaller countries to do this. Once again, we're not talking about the US and first world countries and the superpowers, right? We're talking about smaller countries who are fighting inflation, who need to boost their GDP and much more. So I think many other smaller countries are going to follow El Salvador's move. It's incredible what's happening. All right, folks, don't forget to check out our other sponsor, and that is Uphold, great crypto exchange where you can buy Bitcoin and all the top altcoins. You can also trade precious metals such as gold, silver, palladium, platinum. They are fully reserved. I've been using them since 2018. They have transparency reports and so forth. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, check out the link in the description. Great platform I would recommend. And folks, don't forget to sign up for my free email newsletter and follow me on all social platforms. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll talk to you all later.